EyeSee podcast. Breaking the social media clutter. Hello, everyone. This is Sanya from EyeSee. Welcome and thank you for joining our podcast. Today, I have the privilege of talking to Maria Smuja and Sandra Panic from EyeSee's Advertising Insights team. They will talk about the recipe for breaking the social media clutter. Hello and welcome.
Hi.
Hi, thank you.
So your team recently conducted a huge study on 2,000 participants, which tested 36 Facebook ads from the 6 most common industries that our clients come from, which are food, beverage, cosmetics, banking and telco, services, and technology. Let's dive straight into the matter. Maria, what prompted you to run this study? Why is social media advertising so relevant, and is it hard to get it right?
It seems like it is, because we have some hard fact numbers that prove that. For example, there are differences in how social media ads perform in terms of attention, emotions, and impact. And here are those numbers. Top performing ads held attention for 6 seconds longer than the worst performers, had a 16% emotional reach, while some had 0, higher message recall, and a 50% higher stated purchase intent than the worst performing ads. So yes, it is quite hard to nail it.
Yeah, those are some huge differences and impressive numbers. So let's take a step back. What was your starting point?
Yeah, for the first time ever in 2019, Americans will spend more time on their smartphones and tablets than watching traditional TV. So 2.7 billion current social media users spend more than 2 hours every day on social media. So when it comes to advertising, social media offers advertisers to segment their audience precisely and target them with personalized messages in between other emotional or relevant content in their feeds. Although TV is rapidly changing and adopting some characteristics of digital marketing, the two environments are still radically different. It's difficult for advertisers to break through the clutter with their ads.
Yeah, that is understandable. I mean, I can speak from my own experience as the average social media user. I look through my Facebook feed while I'm commuting, and I'm also listening to music. I'm getting interrupted by messages. Then I go to Instagram. Then I think about what I'm getting for lunch that day, go back to scrolling, have an email pop up on my screen. And it's really, really tough to get and hold my attention. And also, I don't watch TV at all. So social media is the only way for advertisers to reach me and many other consumers, I believe. Now, how would you compare the two environments and how hard it is for companies to make impactful social media ads?
As you said, I firmly believe that social media can be a much more powerful medium than a TV campaign. But creating a great ad for social media is much harder than on TV. So why is that? Well, our brains are wired to scan the environment, analyze it, while spending the least amount of energy possible in order to survive and distinguish the unimportant from vital. Images elicit emotions in a dozen milliseconds. The brain processes the cues and filters the content all before we're even aware that it's happening. We unconsciously react to the things we have evolved to like over millennia: babies, animals, and seeing emotions. On the other hand, if we are curious and surprised, we can't look away from the ad, and it keeps us at the edge of our seats. And additionally, with repeated exposure to the ad of a particular brand, relations between synapses are getting stronger, and that will ensure that a certain brand will always be on top of our mind. Again, so much of this happens before we can form a rational explanation or an opinion. If we compare the speed of these processes to the average time consumers spend watching certain media, we see that we need to rely on a different way of testing than merely asking the consumers what they think about an ad. And we are all aware that social media platforms moved from being just a place for posting personal content toward a place where people would like not only to collect information about their family and friends, but to stay updated on current events or find relevant, entertaining content. It's up to brands and companies to offer pointful and inspiring content. On the intuitive level, it seems that for some industries like sports brands or food manufacturers, it is easier to break through the clutter and reach someone. On the other hand, for some other industries that have different business models that are more oriented toward maintaining loyalty instead of creating buzz, it could be harder to make a stand among distracted and advertising-avoidant consumers.
Yeah, so when it comes to our study that we just conducted, all ads were previously posted on official Facebook pages by leading companies from each of the industries. And we selected ads for the study to include various types of executions, formats, and content because we just wanted to see what works best in such an environment, such as Facebook timeline. So we tested GIFs versus long videos of up to 30 seconds select, different color schemes, what to put on a thumbnail, should be product, brand, or people, and of course some other ad attributes. And yeah, we found that each of those particular aspects could be actually a break it or make it factor. So, what did our study look like? Well, each ad was presented to respondents on Facebook feed with the task to just scroll down and explore as they normally do. And we use eye tracking and facial coding to measure KPIs, which influence how an ad will perform on social media timeline. Did they notice the ad? For how long the ad held their attention? Did it trigger any emotion? And which one? Were they happy, surprised, or puzzled? Uh, Beside immediate reactions to the ad, we were also interested in the long-term impact on brand image and other KPIs for that particular brand or advertiser.
So, we've talked about the context in which ads are viewed and the surrounding visual overload. So, given these real life conditions, just how important is the testing environment?
We can say that context is everything. Firstly, market research experts need to take a step back from the traditional testing routine of displaying the ad in the standalone mode, full length, full size, ad to the benevolent respondent, because that is not the way how typical end user will consume it. Having in mind that just a few percentages, up to 3%, according to our previous studies, of social media users unmute videos while scrolling through news feeds, and even less click on the button to view it in a full screen mode, using natural and unforced exposure of the stimuli in an environment that is as close to reality as possible is a critical precondition for evaluating ads. This should be a standard go-to approach for brands and companies doing ad pre-testing, because if you have a great ad that goes unnoticed when thrown into the highly competitive and crowded social media environment, you're wasting your money. Settings could be more or less busy, but from our study, we can draw some evergreen recommendations about drawing and keeping attention in the digital news feeds. What we will recommend: always show the product and the brand logo on the thumbnail photo, or explicitly mention the service if there is no concrete product. Use portrait shape in opening scenes and keep it short.
Could you explain the importance of correct KPIs for measuring digital impact? What exactly are they able to tell us about the ads?
We can say that digital campaigns request digital solutions to measure their effects. In the digital world, it is all about visibility, holding attention, and making an impact. With research techniques like eye tracking and facial coding, we don't have to rely on viewers' memory anymore to capture the campaign's effect. For example, for each ad, we mark out percentage of respondents that notice the ad. Our study shows that ad visibility depends on different factors, and of course, one of them is the position on the timeline. Ad positioned as the second post on the top has 94% visibility. On the other side, ad positioned as the seventh post, we can say in the middle of the timeline, has 90% of the visibility. And ad placed as 12th has 76% of visibility. However, this is not enough. You can have high visibility but low attention because people are just scrolling to the feed, noticing the ad but without stopping to read it or to view it. Yeah, and that means that your ad doesn't have the breakthrough power, the power to hold the attention. In this study, on average, advertisements were watched for 4.1 seconds, which is important to have in mind when creating ads for social media because you have only 4 seconds to make an impact you want to make. So it is essential to track visibility and the holding power of the ads because our analysis shows that there is a statistically significant positive correlation between visibility as a KPI and brand recall or awareness. And we all know that what we don't remember, we won't buy.
As we already mentioned, people spend about a few seconds watching ads on Facebook. So that's why it's vital to optimize ads for social media. And always have in mind that a social media timeline is not TV. So don't use your TV ads on feeds. You need to catch the user's attention to even start watching your ad, and then to make sure that the key message, or at least a teaser, is communicated in the first few seconds of the ad, right? And speaking of attention, what are some proven predictors of an ad standing out? What formats or visual cues and colors are noticed most often?
There is no some universal recipe on how to create a perfect ad for Facebook feed or social media feed, and different things might work on the thumbnail. In general, we recommend showing people or showing your product if you have one. If you show people, you are likely to elevate emotions with your ad. So the average emotional reach on feed is only 3%. And we found that if you show people on your ad, that could elevate emotional reach. And even more, if the characters in the ad come from the respondent's social or cultural group, that's even more likely to happen.
We can say that this just shows the importance of targeting.
And on the other hand, if you show the product, that will probably boost the probability of your message to be received up to 20%. And this is particularly true if food or beverages are in question. So, show your product while it's used or consumed, and not only the package shot.
So we covered attention and visibility. What about our emotions?
Well, if you want to build a solid and trustworthy brands that will last on the market, you of course need to connect with the consumers on an emotional level. And our facial coding KPIs allow us to measure whether the ad triggers the consumers. Are they annoyed, or do they maybe enjoy watching the ad? According to our study, if the ad triggers a high level of emotions, there is somewhat higher probability that they will remember the message, and that would make them more interested in the brand. In order to be emotionally impactful, the ad needs to be enjoyable, funny, and also to bring new information about the product advertised.
I'm really curious about color. How does it affect ad visibility? Is it really that important? Is there a secret color that will work and make your ad more visible?
Surprisingly, each color scheme might actually work, but that depends on the overall ad execution and what's the environment like. However, what we noticed in our study is that the usage of light colors in the thumbnail increases ad visibility up to 90% compared to using dark colors in the thumbnail, which may lower the visibility by 7%. We also noticed that an intense color palette could contribute to a higher emotional reach of the ad.
Wow, interesting. And what about music?
Music is very important, although it's not directly connected to ad visibility. We found that ads with no music actually have better message recall.
Yeah, music can draw attention away from the message, actually. It can decrease the correct message recall by 10%.
Wow.
And what is super common, that all advertisers are using music in videos.
Yeah, that's true. On the other hand, ads that use music are more likely to be seen as entertaining and pleasant to watch. It all depends on what your primary goal with an ad is. So, do you want to raise awareness of a new product, or to strengthen the emotional connection with your brand, or maybe to enhance the company's reputation?
Yeah, I guess if you start
yeah.
from that, you can build a strategy for your social media presence.
Yeah.
So you ran this study among 6 different industries. What are their individual differences, and how should advertisers use this information to their benefit?
Well, this might be challenging because all ads are competing in the same space, but this might be more challenging for some industries than for others. The main difference we observed lies among the food and beverage industries on one side and the services industries on the other. And services included banking, telecommunications, accommodation. Ads from the food industry got the most attention, 5 seconds on average, while those from banking, telco, and services got the least amount of attention, about 3.8 seconds.
Yep, this is logical, as food and beverage are predisposed to attract attention from a biological perspective.
Yeah, true. And there were also some differences in the perceived clarity. Ads from food and beverage industries were regarded as the clearest, while those from services are often not that clear. And we have already mentioned that showing the product makes the ad more precise, and companies that offer services simply cannot be that literal. And instead of showing the product, they can show their brand logo on the thumbnail or in the first few seconds of the ad, especially if their brand is well known and likable. To make an even stronger impact, make sure your brand logo is visible. For example, that it is contrasted against the background or positioned centrally on the screen.
So, to make your ads more emotionally engaging, use music, intense colors, as well as people as characters, right? And you should stay away from long and complex storylines and keep it short.
Yeah, that's all correct. Because the lowest performing 15% of ads in our study were too long for social media, about 30 seconds each, and they had lower attention and almost twice lower brand recall and consequently triggered negative emotions.
Yeah, for social media, less is often more. For example, a simple yet effective GIF can take your ad a long way.
So many useful tips here. And can you show some more interesting examples from the study that demonstrate a smart approach to social media advertising in practice?
First one is the ad from food and beverage industry, and it shows a really effective usage of a product shot in the first second of an ad, and this resulted in maximum visibility and above average recall of this ad. The ad is just short, simple, yet clear and direct. So, recommendations for the food industry would be, if you have a great product, show it. On the other hand, we also have great example from services industry. It is insurance company. And although we said that it is more challenging for service industry to just make their way through the social media jungle, there are some examples like this one. In the first scene, we see people, and we also see the brand logo that is present and clearly contrasted with the background. And the recommendation here could be to position the logo centrally, as it would yield even better visibility and ad recall.
And what about the tech industry? Does it have any specifics related to it?
Yeah, that's a good question because there are some other interesting findings related to the tech industry as well. Because in the tech industry, manufacturers have a better emotional impact than retailers, 4% versus 0%. On the other side, the retailers have better recall, while manufacturers, they're playing better on likability and the brand fit. Well, this is quite logical because manufacturers, they strive to build a brand relationship, while retailers, they aim for awareness.
And traveling was also interesting to me personally. When we compare traditional hotels and digital booking services, we see that ads for regular traveling services are seen as more ordinary. However, they are stronger on brand opinion and emotional reach. And digital services are playing on innovativeness, memorability, and impact, while traditional services are investing more in building emotional connections with the consumers. Also in beverage industry, ads for non-alcoholic beverages have better overall performance than those for alcoholic beverages. Non-alcoholic beverage ads were more emotionally engaging. They boost recall, opinion about the brand, and also stated purchase intent, all for about 20%.
Well, impressive numbers again. We've covered a lot of ground, and this is a lot to take in. We touched upon attention and emotion all the way to brand impact. So, Maria, could you sum up for us? What will be the key findings to take away from this study?
Yeah, of course. Well, what we have learned today that product itself is the king. Show the product in the thumbnail for higher ad clarity and for more credible ads. Also, use GIFs for better message recall and use videos for long-term impact on the brand. Always adjust the length of the video for social media because videos that are too long have lower attention, lower brand recall, and they trigger negative emotions. On the other hand, if you want to evoke emotions, opt for a video and go big. Use music, intense colors, brand name logo that should be very visible, in high contrast with the background, and position centrally. Showing people first will also help you to boost the emotions and grab users' attention. The industry that brand is coming from will dictate the type of effort companies need to apply for success in a busy social media setting. Communicate the experience that product brings in first 4 seconds.
Another thing I learned today is that you should always pre-test your ads, right?
That's right.
For sure.
So thank you, Maria. Thank you, Sandra, for joining us today and for sharing so many useful tips and insights. For anyone listening, I hope you've learned something new and useful. I for sure have. And stay tuned for more podcasts from EyeSee.